Welcome. It is your 30th health hack. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Every night we'll be doing these on Monday nights at 7:30. Sometimes we might start a few minutes late, but I think we were right around 7:30 tonight. And what we're going to talk about tonight is a dime size worth of pressure. And you're like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Well, what it means is a dime size worth of pressure is all you need as far as nerve interference to reduce your nervous system capacity by 70%. So our little, what we call it is our tidbit of the week, our article of the week is reflecting on that very fact. Like, if we just put a dime size worth of pressure on a nerve, what does that create in the body? Well, it shows that if you stretch a nerve by as little as 6%, it's going to reduce that nerve function by 70%. So what does that mean for your health? What does that mean for your life? Well, dysfunction, right? And where we get dysfunction in the later stages, now the body's not in a state where it's producing normal healthy cells, but abnormal sick cells. And what does that dysfunction turn into? Well, it turns into disease. And if your body can't warn you that there's cancer in your body, or if it can't warn you that there's dysfunction in your body, or a tumor or a lesion, because that nerve is blocked, or what we call subluxated, meaning the bone is moved out of place and it's starting to impede the nerve capacity or the function of the body, that's kind of scary, isn't it? So a lot of times people are great at seeing the effects of nerve interference related to posture, right? Like, we always talk about posture, and we definitely look at certain angles in my office that deal with neurology, right? So we're going to follow Doctors Deed and Don Harrison and the CBP Foundation, and we're going to be looking at, well, are you at 31 degrees plus or minus 5? Are you at 42 degrees? Do you have forward head posture, which is supposed to be 0 millimeters? And if you don't have these angles in your cervical curve, then we know that there's an influence of gravity and posture on your nervous system. But that doesn't just deal with posture. That deals with chemical and emotional stress too. And sometimes we only think about nerve interference related to what we can palpate or see. What's palpable? You know what I mean by that? And I don't mean palpable from the standpoint of just touching it, but I mean if you can put your hands on it and you can see it constantly or feel it, then people generally identify that as being a problem in their life with their health. So as Americans, we kind of equate a health with how you feel and how you look. Well, that's not true health. According to the World Health Organization, true health is how your body's functioning. And I was talking to a couple about this today, and they couldn't really see it. I mean, they did, but they didn't, right? Because most people are so used to doing a downward dog and then like drinking wheatgrass, right? And they think they're going to live as old as Methuselah. But I see tons of people every day, and they're sick and suffering, and they're tired of being sick and being dysfunctional, but they don't know a different way. They continue to eat this great diet or this organic food or this wild salmon or do this great spiritual emotional stuff, but they're not really getting to the cause of the nerve dysfunction. They're not removing the nerve interference because they're not going to somebody trained to look for subluxation. So if you've got a dime size worth of pressure on a nerve, how would you know that? Well, the only way you would know is by getting it checked. And since less than 1% of chiropractic is actually doing real chiropractic, they're doing pain relief stuff and hooking you up to electrodes and rubbing you here or there and all that stuff. And then you go away and your symptoms and conditions don't go away because your body's not in an optimal place of function. And function can only happen with a properly working nervous system. And when we talk about the nervous system, we're talking about the brain, we're talking about the spinal cord, and we're talking about the nerves. So when we think of health as a bucket, you'll hear me say this over and over again, we got to constantly check that bucket just like we would if we're going to the dentist, and just like we would if we went to the dentist, we're making sure we don't have plaquing, we don't have cavities, we don't have abscessed teeth. That's what we have to do with a principal chiropractor. We got to check to make sure this bucket's empty. We got to make sure it's not overflowing. And the only way you can do that is, hey, are you checking in and around the cord to see if there's pressure on that nerve? The only way you can do that is if you're taking films. If you're not taking films to see if you're at 31, 42, or 0, or to see if you're subluxated, Because you can be at a perfect 31, 42, and 0, step outside, taste that nice California air that's toxic, right? And then 2 seconds later, that can cause degeneration in your spine. That can cause a subluxation at any spinal level. You can watch CNN for 2 seconds, hear what's going on in the world and how toxic the world is. And that can subluxate you. But if we get the angles right and we start working on chemical, physical, emotional stress, and we're constantly being evaluated, then that one day we're going to limit the chances of that one opportunity where that one day occurs where we're doing all this stuff right, and then all of a sudden we collapse of a heart attack at the age of 43. I mean, we hear these stories all the time, don't we? And John or Dave or Sally, they just had a clean blood test, a clean bill of health. Everything was working great for them. And then the next week we look at the obituary section, and our good friend, our family member, our neighbor is in that obituary section because they weren't getting to the cause of what was going on. They were just putting Band-Aids on it. So I really encourage you, get to a holistic neurological chiropractor. That's what we do in this office. Get to a principal chiropractor. Maybe you're too far. Maybe you're seeing this video and I'm not the right office because, it's an hour, 2-hour drive for you. I got people coming from Long Beach and San Diego to be here because of the unique nature of what we do. But get out there. Start checking out different people. And if you have a question about, what's a principal chiropractor and who does holistic neurologically based chiropractic in your area, there's not many people, but we'll find somebody for you. You can give us your zip code. And if you're watching the video and you're in North County, you're in San Diego, and you can get your tail down here and drive down here, we want to get you checked. Because I lost 4 different grandparents to cancer, and the only way to prevent that crap from happening is that by having a functioning nervous system, and by having a nervous system that's getting checked for subluxation. Because inflammation and subluxation, those are the things that lead to disease in the body. Dysfunction is a precursor to disease. So I want to thank you for tuning in tonight, okay? We want to get everybody in your family checked. We've got a great talk happening on April 16th. It's going to be at 7 o'clock. That's a Monday. That's a week from today. And we're going to be talking about the 3 ways to get a beach body through a nervous system-centered workout. Because many, you're out there and you're doing all these crazy bench presses and you're doing all this stuff and you're squatting like you're in the National Football League, and it's destroying your nervous system. And it's making you a not-so-friendly person to the people you love and care about because it's killing your body and it's killing your life flow. We're going to talk about all that and how to do a workout that works with your nervous system and not against it. So God bless you. Have a great evening and have an awesome, awesome week. Take care.